Do you keep getting pulled into working with difficult patients? Then this video is for you. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name's Fola, and here on Deep Mind Squared, we talk all things bridging mental wellness and spirituality for nurses. As a psych nurse turned shamanic practitioner and Reiki master teacher, it's my hope that we can start to do the inner healing so that we can begin to transform the healthcare system. My 11 plus years of working in mental health and addictions has led me to experiencing some pretty challenging and difficult patients. It's been part of the fun, I suppose you could say. So whether or not you've worked in psychiatry or in medical, surgical placements, we are all having to succumb to some pretty inappropriate behaviors sometimes as nurses. And we talk about it in nursing school. We learn, how do you approach certain people and what are some ways that you can manage difficult behaviors. But the one thing I found the most beneficial is something that involves us doing our own inner work. I want to preface this video by saying that you do not deserve to be disrespected, abused, treated poorly, yelled at, screamed, hit, whatever the case might be. That is not appropriate, and those types of behaviors need to be nipped in the butt right now. So if you're a leader watching this video, please do what you can to start making changes and setting boundaries for your staff. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're updated on future videos, and we'll get right into it. So how exactly do we begin to create this work environment for nurses that's positive and respectful and has an overall feeling of well-being? And I believe this is all about starting with boundaries. Something I learned for myself over the years was the fact that I didn't have a whole lot of self-respect and self-love. And it's taken me a long time to get to the place I'm in, and I'm still learning. And I think this is part of the ever unfolding journey of life, that it's so important that we allow ourselves and stand in integrity with our boundaries. So what exactly is a boundary? That means if I tell someone something and we have a communication, which is important as well, open, honest communication, we then are both aware of what is expected in that relationship. Setting a boundary with ourselves as well of what we're going to stand for, what we're going to take as, okay, I can handle that behavior, or no, this behavior over here completely triggers me, maybe because of my past experiences and traumas. We need to know that for ourselves, and to, if you have to write out what those boundaries are, then do that. It could be a list of values and your moral beliefs, but really knowing that, hey, this is my boundary and this is what I stand for and who I am. Nothing is allowed to push past that. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to have things happen that try to push those boundaries, because it's ironic enough, once you start setting boundaries with yourself and really trying to stand in that integrity, it's almost as though the universe starts to bring you more experiences where those boundaries are being pushed. So just a little preemptive warning there. By setting these boundaries, we start to show ourselves self-respect. We start to show that, hey, I matter as a nurse. I matter that I'm here. And once we start to do that, a beautiful thing happens. Our world around us starts to mirror those actions or those behaviors as well. And it's not going to necessarily mean that you're completely immune to difficult or challenging people coming across your path. Because again, this doesn't necessarily just mean your patients or the people you're caring for. There's also our colleagues, your teammates, that sometimes they can be very disrespectful or engage with each other in some not so savory ways. This is about us recognizing what's going on for ourselves and putting up those boundaries so that people know that they can't step on it. And if they do, there might be consequences to those actions. This is not me telling you to cause harm, by the way. This is just me saying you set boundaries and you communicate using your words about what is okay and what's not okay. And a thing I've learned too over the years is the more I'm in that self-deprecating sort of behavior or negative self-talk, the more those types of experiences come, the more challenging people seem to be on my path, and that can be really tiring. And I think this is why so many nurses are just feeling so burnt out right now. So please just take care of yourselves. So if you're finding yourself in a situation, maybe you're still learning how to set your boundaries, I'm going to give you some quick tips on some ways that you can really start to step more into that centered space and hopefully neutralize some of that energy that's going on between you and this other person or persons. So the first step would be to just become present in the moment. You might become aware that, hey, I am maybe in this situation, or this person that's talking with me right now is really triggering me. I'm having a lot of like this kind of challenging energy coming from them. What's up with that? And coming from a place of curiosity, and also if it helps you to place your hand kind of just at the space right below your belly button, that like center of gravity, and just breathing into that place. And you can do that standing up while you're talking to someone, sitting down, putting your hand on that space, and just allowing the breath and the awareness to come through that question of, what is going on here? And an important thing to follows this is if that is not really able to support you with grounding in that moment, then remove yourself from that situation. I can't even think of all the times that I've been, out in people's homes doing assessments, and it was kind of like on me to do a lot of that care. But I had a police partner, someone next to me, another colleague, where it's like, okay, we could have this conversation with the client, and maybe I also need to just step away for a moment. And I made up excuses like, oh, I just need to make a phone call real quick so that I can remove myself from that environment and leave it to the other person, or invite them to come with you. We'll come back right in like 10 minutes. We just gotta have a quick discussion about you, Mr. Smith, or whoever. Just allow that space. There's something about space and that pause that can be beneficial for us and also beneficial for the other person. And don't think that it's being rude. I think as long as you articulate, hey, you know what, I'm just gonna have to go for a moment, I'll be right back. Maybe just turning away and walking away isn't the most beneficial. But again, if that's what you have to do to make sure that you're safe, then do it. And obviously get a coworker or someone to come in your place and to support. And that's the beauty of having a team and working as a community. Just knowing that you don't have to take everything on for yourself. And as nurses, we do that. We're very guilty of just wanting to take all the action and never really look after ourselves. The beautiful thing about this whole practice of just becoming present with a hand on the belly, becoming aware of the need for space and taking and allowing that space, it's then going to indicate that you are allowing more of those boundaries to form in your life and that respect for yourself. And what happens, like I said, is when we respect ourselves, then the world starts to mirror that respect back to us. I can't even tell you how many times I've gone to work with a patient and I've read their chart and it sounds like, oh my gosh, like there probably needs to have 3 or 4 of us here because this could go very sideways if I'm not careful. And I've just allowed myself to become aware again with that curiosity of like, hey, what is this? What's going on for this person? And acknowledging that, that might have been the past, that might not necessarily be the present or the future sort of behavior. More times than not, I'd say like 99% of the time, when that person comes, it's because I'm checking in with my regulation of my breath, of my body, what's coming up for me, sensing too what's coming up for the person, approaching them from that trauma-informed lens of like, hey, you're kind of in the driver's seat here. I'm just here providing care. Let's work together. And it's mostly positive. So positive, people are like, I want to come back. Can I see you? So that's a good sign. And the other 1% that say they still hate me, then I guess that's it. I mean, you can't have everyone liking you, right? But this is the beauty of us as nurses, knowing that we can regulate ourselves, stand in that place of respect, set boundaries, and really hold those boundaries and trust that that can support us in supporting others who are also going through their personal challenges. Because in the end, it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. It has to do with people's own personal struggles. And right now, especially, we're going through some rough times. You can see that with your colleagues, I'm sure. So know that it has nothing to do with you. It's just people are going through their own thing. And we can support each other by standing in our own boundaries, still showing compassion and care, and trusting that if we can do this together, then we'll start seeing some changes in how our healthcare system is operating. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to let us know in the comments, what are some techniques or ways that you manage or support yourself when it comes to working with some people who might be a bit more difficult, a bit challenging. And I'd love for you to share this video with anyone you think might need to hear this message today. And until the next video, I will see you guys soon. Take care.